So today we have in front of us the Variable Action Heroes red-haired Shanks figure. After the pre-time skip Luffy, I was very excited for the next 3 figures to be released in the line. This figure today, the pre-time skip Zoro, and then Perona later on this year. Shanks was probably the one I was most excited for, since I always like getting new pirates that aren't Straw Hats. Out of the box, I can see that this guy is one of the most solid variable action heroes in my opinion. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have a few issues. As for the look of the figure, he's pretty much spot on, as most of these have been. I don't think Mega House has released a bad looking figure yet. Sometimes they don't function correctly, but at least they look good. If I had to nitpick, I would say that the stubble looks like it was drawn on in pencil. On the video his hair looks kinda brown, but in person it's a very nice crimson color. To get a better look at the figure, let's take his jacket off. His white button-down shirt here looks very good. It has the right amount of shading without making it look too overdone. In order to put the sword sheath through his waistband, the look of the figure is compromised a little bit in certain areas. For example, towards the bottom of the torso. If you were to angle it in certain ways without the sheath, you would notice how strange his side looks. The untucked part of his shirt is a floating piece, so it doesn't hinder any articulation, but kinda adds to the strange look of the figure's torso. His body is essentially separated into multiple sections to allow for better articulation. On some figures, like Sanji, it works better due to his darker colors, but it's way more noticeable here in white. I know just about everyone is wondering, and yes, Shanks does have a booty. The pattern on the pants is very neatly done and leads me to believe that just like the previous Luffy figure, this figure is based on the Marineford arc. Just like his stubble, the leg hairs look like they were just painted on, instead of looking natural. However, this is kind of the fault of the character design, and not really the figure. The jacket itself looks decent enough. It doesn't really need a ton of detail, so it looks plain on its own. It has its own set of articulation to allow for better posing, which works perfectly, as I'll show later. This works way better than some other figures, like Boa Hancock's skirt. In terms of Shanks' articulation, his head can move down well enough, but it doesn't seem to want to move up. I don't want to break it by forcing it, so as far as I'm concerned, he can't look up. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of articulation on his arm stump other than rotating it around. The other arm moves all the way around as well, and feels really sturdy when posing it. His torso is in 3 separate pieces to allow him to move his body freely while posing him.
No longer tied down. Now you can move your body freely.
Just like his arms, Shanks' legs move very well, but they are a bit loose due to the drop-down function. His knee articulation, on the other hand, feels very, very sturdy, which is an improvement over some other figures. Looking at you again, Hancock. His first accessory is this big-ass sheath for his sword, which you slide into his waistband like so. Next, you can grab his equally big sword, remove the handle, and pop it in the sheath to complete the look. These figures don't come with instructions, so I had to guess that I had to remove the handle off the sword, which was really scary, because it didn't look like it was supposed to come off. Here's where the jacket articulation comes in handy. There's a flap in the back to allow the sheath to remain on the figure with the jacket on as well, and it allows his arms to move within the jacket as well. This is a very good look for the figure, but they've included another hand to really finish it. This included hand allows Shanks to grip the bottom of the sword while sheathed, which gives the figure a lot of character. As for the sword itself, it looks fine with the blade attached, but the handle is really the best looking part, and I think it looks better in the sheath. Next up is the first alternate face, which sees Shanks laughing. This one is definitely my favorite of the batch due to the expressiveness of it, but I probably won't display him with this one. The next alternate face is a bit of a bummer in my opinion. It's just the first face, but with a more serious look instead of a smirk. The last face isn't shown on the box at all, and it's kind of hidden away in the back instead of the packaging, which leads me to believe this is an exclusive face, but I'm not really sure. This is a far angrier expression, almost like he's attacking. But something looks a bit off here. I think it's the shape of his mouth. It kind of makes him look like a Simpsons character or something. And finally, he comes with this gesturing hand that can be used to hold Luffy's hat, if you've got a spare one of those hanging around. So that's Shanks. A very well done figure in his own right, and a solid addition to the Variable Action Heroes line. He's probably tied with Whitebeard for best non-Straw Hat figure released, and right behind Zoro and Sanji for best overall figure in my opinion. Dreamin', don't give it up, Luffy. Dreamin', don't give it up, Zolo. God damn it. I've had the One Piece rap stuck in my head for a couple days now, and I don't want to put a bullet in my brain.